Hello! So today I have another book talk for you guys. We are discussing Eleanor and Park by Rowell. And this is my first Rowell book that I have ever read, and it was so cute. You guys just need to go out and get it. It is adorable. You need to read it. Rowell is an amazing author, and I am so excited to read her other book, Fangirl. And then I might even read her other book, which I think is an adult book. It's called Attachments. But I am so excited because she's just awesome. And for those of you who don't know, she writes contemporary books. So this book, I'll show you the cover again. Eleanor and Park. Yeah. Adorable. So cute. This book is set in the 80s, and it's basically about this girl who's new to town, but she's not really new. She's just finally moving back after her awful stepdad kicked her out of the house for being a brat, and she finally gets to come back home. And when she first gets on the bus, she's met by a bunch of like bitchy kids, because that's how high school kids are, and she finally sits down next to this boy. His name is Park. And they slowly start to develop a friendship, which turns into a love story, and it's just so cute. And the thing I liked the best about this was that it was so realistic. It wasn't cheesy, and it wasn't one of those epic loves that doesn't make any sense. They're just like made for each other. It's just a high school romance, and it's just so genuinely sweet. It kind of reminds you of your own first love and how you fell in love and what it's like to love, and it's just adorable, and I loved it. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars on my contemporary book scale and 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you want to read a more in-depth, non-spoilery review, you can go down below and click on the link that I have to my blog, which will send you to the blog post that I have about this book. If you haven't read Eleanor and Park, then you do not want to be spoiled, because it's actually a really suspenseful ending, and it left me like, what just happened? So you do not want to be spoiled. So if you haven't read it, then go read it, and then you can come back and you can share your thoughts with me, and you can listen to my thoughts on the book. So for those of you who have read the book, I'm going to start at the beginning when Eleanor comes home. And I was kind of confused because they don't exactly explain why she got kicked out at first. It comes with like flashbacks to her thinking about it, and it was kind of confusing, and I didn't really understand why she wasn't at home. But as the book progressed and you find out why, I hated her stepdad. He was such a douche. Like, if I were a mom, I would never let a stepdad do that to my kids. I mean, I would just, I don't know. I would understand I wouldn't let the animosity happen, and I wouldn't blame my kid for it. If I saw the dad doing something they shouldn't be doing, I would call them out on it. But he was also abusive, so I guess she was just scared. Her mom was just scared, but at the same time, it just really bothered me. When she got on the bus for the first time, everyone was so unwelcoming, and I had to chuckle because it's so realistic. Like, nobody in high school is very welcoming, and it was just so funny. And even Park was like, "Can you just sit down? Oh my god, like, just sit here. I don't even care anymore." And it was just really cute because you could tell that he was trying to be nice, but he didn't want to come off as like actually being nice. As the story progresses, he starts to bring her comics, and it's just really cute because at first she starts to read the comics over his shoulder, and you know she like just wants a friend, and then he starts to bring them to her, and he was just so sweet. He wanted to make sure she felt welcomed, and he wanted to be nice to her, and he started bringing her comics, and it was just so adorable. So between the time that they met and the time they started being all lovey-dovey, there was kind of a little gray area. They didn't there wasn't much explanation as to where they really like started to like each other. It just kind of happened, and then one day she was holding his hand, and it was kind of weird, but at the same time I liked it because that's kind of how high school romances are. Like, they don't happen very formally, at least not for me. They ever haven't. They just kind of happen, and one day you're holding hands with a guy, and I really enjoyed that because as weird as it was just adorable. And going back to the realistic aspect, it was just so realistic. Rainbow Rowell just encapsulated first love, high school romance so realistically and so well. Oh, and then you start to find out these things are getting written on her book. Like, these awful things. And I won't name any of them because they were just totally awful. But if you read the book, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you find out her stepdad was writing them. That is so awful. Like, that is truly awful. I know there are people out there that do stuff like that, do awful stuff like that, but I could never imagine doing stuff like that. And it just made me so angry. And I know it was just a book, but I just got so angry about it. And I got angry for her, and I wanted to like jump into the book and beat up her dad because he was just such a jerk to her, and he treated her like trash, and it was just awful. Did you predict that it was going to be her dad writing those things? Because after a while I started to think maybe it's her dad writing those things, but then I was like, no, it's probably not. It's probably some stupid kid at school. But then I was right. So did you predict that? Because I felt like Rainbow Rowell kind of hinted that it was her dad. Another thing I loved was how Eleanor took everything with ease. Like, when the girls were pranking her and being such bitches to her, she just kind of let it roll off her shoulder. She didn't let it bother her. Obviously, underneath it did bother her, but she didn't let them see her break, and I just loved that. And I was cheering for Eleanor the whole time because the way Rainbow Rowell describes her, she might not be the prettiest person or the skinniest person or the most fabulous person in school, but she was just an overall awesome person. And she was so strong to go through everything she went through and still not break down, and I just was rooting for her the whole time. We get to the part where Eleanor finally meets Park's parents, and Park's mom was so funny. I was laughing all the time because of Park's mom and her parts were written, her lines were written were exactly how Vietnamese people talk. Or was she Vietnamese, or I don't remember what exactly she was. But that's exactly how they talk, like, when they come to America, broken English. It was so funny, and his mom was so sassy. It was just hilarious, and she was kind of the comedic relief. Even though she was a little bit rude to Eleanor at first, she kind of softened up and started to be nicer to her. And when she gave Eleanor those makeovers, it was so adorable. And she totally slutted Eleanor up, and Eleanor was like, But she was just his mom's personality was the funniest, and I loved it so much. Fast forwarding to the end, because I don't really, like, nothing else really stuck out to me. I obviously loved the whole book, but skipping forward to the end when she gets kicked out again for, like, almost no reason at all, just because she was seeing Park and her stepdad found out. I cried so much. Because she went and found Park, and she just, like, broke down to him, and then he drives her all the way to her uncle's house, and even her parents were like, if he doesn't want her, bring her back here, we'll help her, because her family was such a screwed up family, and her mom didn't stick up for her at all. Her mom just was basically like, just leave, it'll be better for everyone. And I could never do that as a mom. Just let my kid just leave because my jerk husband wanted to kick her out, who's not even her real dad. Like, that just bothered me so much, and it made me so upset. I cried so much. Then you skip forward months in advance to like a year, and Park sends letters to Eleanor and she never responds, and then one day she sends him one postcard and it just says that there's 3 words on it. It just says Eleanor hadn't written him a letter. It was a postcard, just 3 words long. What were the 3 words? I think they were I love you. But I don't know. Maybe. Now Rainbow Rowell has to tell us what happened because this is really bothering me. I really want to know. What do you think the 3 words were? I think they were I love you because I don't remember Eleanor ever saying them to him, saying those 3 words to him, and I'm pretty sure Park said them to her. So maybe she was finally just like, I love you, because I can't think of another 3 words that would be very important. I hate you, but I don't think she would do that. Enough brainstorming. What do you think? And where do you think Eleanor went? Obviously, they tell you that her mom and the kids left Richie, but where do you think they went? Do you think her mom followed her to her uncle's house and now her mom kind of picked up their life again and she's with her mom again? Or do you think she stayed with her uncle? What do you think happened there? And do you think that in the future sometime Eleanor and Park reunited? What do you think? What do you think? I want to know what you think because I hope they reunited because I freaking love them. They're a perfect couple and they were so cute, and I just got so sad that she just had to leave him so abruptly, and it was just an amazing book, and I read it in a day, literally 24 hours or less, probably less, because I had to sleep and eat and interact with humans in between that time. But I flew through this book. I was reading at dinner and I stayed up late reading and was sleep deprived and tried not to interact very much with humans so that I could finish this book because I was so hooked. For those of you who have read her other books, Rainbow Rowell's other books, let me know what you think of them. Which one should I read first, Attachments or Fangirl? Let me know. And I think that's all I have to say. Yeah. So I'll be back soon with another book talk, guys. Bye!